Have you ever wondered why two people can be the same age on paper, yet one climbs mountains with endless energy, while the other feels exhausted after walking up a flight of stairs? For years, scientists searched for a single explanation. Was it genetics? Was it luck? Was it simply getting older? But one of the most fascinating discoveries in modern biology suggests something far more interesting. The difference may begin deep inside nearly every cell in your body, in tiny structures so small they can only be seen under a microscope, yet so powerful that they produce almost all the energy keeping you alive. They're called mitochondria. Researchers now believe these microscopic power plants do much more than generate energy. Evidence suggests they influence how we age, how clearly we think, how well our muscles function, how resilient our immune system remains, and even how effectively our bodies respond to stress. What's even more remarkable is that scientists have discovered these cellular engines are not fixed. They constantly adapt to the choices we make every day. The foods we eat, the way we move, the quality of our sleep, even the timing of our meals. And perhaps the biggest surprise is this: many of the habits people believe increase energy may actually do the opposite over time. Today, we're exploring what researchers have learned about mitochondria, why they play such a central role in healthy aging, and how evidence based lifestyle strategies may help support these remarkable structures throughout life. Because when you understand what happens inside your cells, you begin to understand aging in an entirely new way. And that's where this story becomes truly fascinating. For decades, aging was often viewed as an unavoidable process of gradual decline. We assumed energy naturally faded, muscles weakened, memory slowed, and chronic illness became almost inevitable with time. While aging itself cannot be stopped, research over the past several decades has transformed how scientists think about the process. Rather than seeing aging as one single event, researchers now describe it as the accumulation of many small biological changes happening simultaneously throughout the body. Some of these changes involve inflammation, others involve DNA repair, some affect communication between cells. But again and again, one common thread keeps appearing in scientific studies: healthy mitochondria. Scientists often describe mitochondria as the power plants of our cells, but that comparison only tells part of the story. Imagine every one of the roughly 37 trillion cells in your body as a busy city. Each city requires electricity to operate. Without power, nothing functions. Your muscles cannot contract, your heart cannot beat efficiently, your brain cannot process information, your immune system cannot respond effectively. Mitochondria generate much of that usable energy by converting nutrients and oxygen into a molecule called ATP, the fuel that powers virtually every cellular process, every heartbeat, every breath, every thought, every step, every blink, every second of every day. This extraordinary process happens continuously without us ever noticing. However, researchers later discovered something surprising. Mitochondria are far more than microscopic batteries. Evidence suggests they also help regulate inflammation, influence immune responses, participate in hormone signaling, manage oxidative stress, and even determine whether damaged cells repair themselves or are removed. In other words, mitochondria don't simply create energy. They help coordinate the overall health of the cell itself. That realization changed the direction of aging research. Instead of asking only why people lose energy as they grow older, scientists began asking another question: what happens when mitochondria themselves begin to lose efficiency? The answers have been remarkable. Studies suggest mitochondrial performance gradually declines with age in many tissues. Older mitochondria often produce less energy while generating more unstable molecules known as reactive oxygen species. In moderate amounts, these molecules serve important biological functions, but when production exceeds the body's natural defenses, oxidative stress may increase. Over many years, that stress may contribute to gradual cellular wear and tear associated with aging. Yet, that's not the most interesting part. Researchers discovered mitochondrial decline is not determined solely by chronological age. Lifestyle appears to play an important role. Scientists have observed that physically active older adults often maintain healthier mitochondrial function than much younger but sedentary individuals. That finding surprised many researchers. It suggested that our daily behaviors may influence how effectively these cellular power plants continue functioning throughout life. Naturally, this raises another question. If mitochondria are so important, what damages them in the first place? The answer isn't a single dramatic event. Instead, it's often the accumulation of small habits repeated over years. Modern lifestyles provide constant access to calorie dense foods while requiring very little physical movement. Many people spend most of the day sitting. Sleep becomes inconsistent. Stress remains elevated. Meals become larger and more frequent. Over time, researchers believe this combination may reduce the body's ability to maintain optimal mitochondrial health. Think about what happens when an engine is constantly running but rarely maintained. Efficiency slowly decreases. Fuel isn't burned as cleanly. Performance gradually declines. Mitochondria appear to behave in surprisingly similar ways. Scientists have observed that chronic inactivity reduces the body's need to produce new mitochondria. Existing mitochondria may become less efficient. Muscle cells begin producing less energy. Physical endurance decreases. Daily tasks feel more difficult. Many people interpret these changes as inevitable aging. But researchers increasingly believe much of this decline reflects reduced cellular conditioning rather than age alone. And this is where the story takes an unexpected turn. Your body possesses remarkable systems designed to repair and renew mitochondria. Scientists call one of these processes mitochondrial biogenesis. In simple terms, it's your body's ability to create new mitochondria. Imagine replacing an aging fleet of engines with newer, more efficient models. That's essentially what this process accomplishes. Researchers have found that certain lifestyle challenges, not overwhelming stress, but carefully controlled biological stress, appear to stimulate this renewal process. This concept is known as hormesis. It sounds complicated, but the principle is surprisingly familiar. Muscles become stronger after appropriate exercise because they adapt to manageable stress. Bones become stronger through regular weight-bearing activity. Similarly, mitochondria appear to respond positively to certain temporary challenges. One of the strongest examples is exercise. For years, scientists believed exercise mainly strengthened muscles. Today we know that's only part of the picture. Exercise also sends powerful signals inside cells that encourage the formation of additional mitochondria. The more energy muscles require, the greater the demand for efficient power production. In response, cells begin upgrading their internal energy systems. One fascinating protein plays a major role in this process. It's known as PGC1 alpha. Many scientists describe it as one of the master regulators of mitochondrial biogenesis. When activated through physical activity, it helps coordinate the production of healthier, more numerous mitochondria. Over weeks and months, this adaptation may contribute to greater endurance, improved metabolic health, and increased resilience. Importantly, these benefits are not limited to elite athletes. Research consistently shows that ordinary adults, including older individuals, can improve mitochondrial function through regular movement. Even beginning later in life appears capable of producing meaningful biological adaptations. That message carries tremendous hope because it suggests our cells remain remarkably adaptable. However, that's only one piece of the puzzle. Nutrition also plays a profound role. Every meal delivers information to our cells. Food isn't simply calories, it contains thousands of biologically active compounds that interact with metabolism in complex ways. Researchers studying nutrition increasingly focus on dietary patterns rather than individual superfoods. Why? Because no single food can compensate for an overall unhealthy lifestyle. Instead, scientists have identified eating patterns consistently associated with healthier aging. These patterns emphasize colorful vegetables, fruits, legumes, nuts, seeds, healthy fats, seafood, and minimally processed foods. Many of these foods contain naturally occurring compounds called polyphenols. Polyphenols are produced by plants to protect themselves from environmental stress. Interestingly, when humans consume these compounds, evidence suggests they may activate beneficial cellular pathways involved in resilience and repair. Researchers continue investigating exactly how these compounds interact with mitochondrial biology. Although much remains to be learned, studies suggest diets rich in plant diversity are associated with better metabolic health and reduced risk of many chronic conditions. And then researchers made another fascinating observation. Some foods appear capable of influencing blood vessel function, which indirectly affects mitochondrial performance. This idea aligns closely with the work of physician and researcher Dr. William Li, who has emphasized the importance of supporting the body's natural defense systems through nutrition. Healthy blood vessels deliver oxygen and nutrients efficiently to tissues throughout the body. Since mitochondria depend heavily on oxygen to generate energy, maintaining healthy circulation becomes an important part of supporting overall cellular function. It's a reminder that no biological system works in isolation. Everything is connected. The health of your blood vessels influences your mitochondria. Your mitochondria influence your muscles. Your muscles influence your metabolism. Your metabolism affects your brain, and your brain helps regulate nearly every organ in your body. This interconnectedness is one of the defining lessons of modern biology. Yet one question still remains. If exercise and nutrition matter so much, why do some people still struggle with low energy despite eating reasonably well? The answer may involve something many people consistently underestimate: recovery. And that's exactly where the next chapter of this story takes us. We'll explore why sleep may be one of the most overlooked regulators of mitochondrial health, how timing your meals could influence your body's natural repair systems, what scientists have discovered about fasting and cellular renewal, and why managing everyday stress may be just as important as choosing the right foods. Because supporting healthy aging isn't about finding one magic solution. It's about understanding how dozens of small biological processes work together over years and decades to shape the future of our health. The science becomes even more compelling from here. If exercise builds healthier mitochondria and nutrition provides the raw materials they need, there's another factor that quietly determines whether those cellular power plants have the opportunity to repair themselves: sleep. For many people, sleep feels like unproductive time. We often think of it as simply switching the body off for a few hours before another busy day begins. But research paints a very different picture. Scientists have discovered that while we sleep, the body enters one of its most active periods of maintenance and restoration. Hormones fluctuate in carefully timed patterns. Brain cells reorganize information collected throughout the day. The immune system performs essential housekeeping. Damaged proteins are identified and removed. Countless repair processes become more active. Mitochondria are part of this nightly restoration. Evidence suggests that inadequate or chronically disrupted sleep may impair mitochondrial efficiency, increase oxidative stress, and interfere with the body's ability to maintain healthy energy production. Even a few nights of insufficient sleep can temporarily reduce insulin sensitivity, alter appetite-regulating hormones, and increase feelings of fatigue. This helps explain why people often crave highly processed, energy-dense foods after poor sleep. It's not simply a matter of willpower. The body is responding to biological signals indicating that energy balance has been disrupted. Researchers have also observed that consistent sleep schedules appear to support healthier circadian rhythms. These internal clocks regulate thousands of biological processes, including metabolism and cellular repair. When sleep becomes irregular, staying awake late one night, waking early the next, constantly changing schedules, the body's timing systems may become less synchronized. Imagine an orchestra in which every musician begins playing at a different tempo. The instruments are all present, but the performance loses its harmony. Our cells operate in much the same way. And that's where another fascinating discovery emerges. Scientists are increasingly interested not only in what we eat, but when we eat. For decades, nutrition discussions focused almost entirely on calories and nutrients. While those remain important, evidence now suggests meal timing may also influence metabolic health. During periods without food, the body begins shifting toward maintenance and repair. One process receiving significant scientific attention is called autophagy. Autophagy is often described as the body's recycling system. Cells identify damaged or unnecessary components, break them down, and reuse many of the building blocks to create healthier structures. This process appears particularly important as we grow older. Researchers have also identified a related process known as mitophagy. As the name suggests, mitophagy specifically targets worn out or dysfunctional mitochondria. Rather than allowing damaged mitochondria to accumulate, healthy cells can selectively remove them, making room for newer, more efficient replacements. Think of it like replacing aging batteries before they begin affecting the performance of an entire machine. Evidence suggests that exercise, quality sleep, and periods between meals may all influence these natural renewal pathways. It's important to recognize that scientists are still studying exactly how different eating patterns affect these mechanisms in humans. Individual needs vary depending on health status, medications, age, and lifestyle. The larger message isn't that everyone should follow the same fasting routine. Instead, the research highlights an important principle. Our bodies appear to benefit from regular opportunities for maintenance rather than being in a constant state of digestion. However, that's only part of the story. Another invisible influence on mitochondrial health follows many of us throughout the day: stress. Stress itself is not the enemy. In fact, short-term stress is essential for survival. It sharpens attention, increases alertness, and prepares the body to respond to challenges. The problem arises when stress never seems to end. Modern life often exposes people to continuous psychological demands: deadlines, financial concerns, family responsibilities, constant notifications, and information overload can keep stress hormones elevated for extended periods. Researchers have found that chronic stress may influence inflammation, sleep quality, immune function, and metabolic regulation, all systems closely connected to mitochondrial performance. Interestingly, mitochondria don't simply respond to stress. They also help determine how resilient our cells are during stressful situations. Healthy mitochondria provide the energy needed for repair and adaptation. Less efficient mitochondria may reduce the body's ability to recover. This creates a cycle. Stress affects mitochondria. Mitochondria influence resilience. Resilience affects how the body handles future stress. Breaking that cycle doesn't necessarily require eliminating stress altogether. Instead, research suggests that recovery practices may help restore balance. Regular physical activity, time outdoors, mindfulness practices, strong social connections, purposeful hobbies, deep breathing, consistent sleep. None of these strategies are magical on their own, but together they may create an environment in which the body's natural repair systems can function more effectively. Yet perhaps the most exciting area of mitochondrial research involves something that surprised scientists themselves. For years, mitochondria were viewed primarily as energy producers. Now researchers recognize that they constantly communicate with the rest of the body. Scientists refer to this as mitochondrial signaling. When mitochondria experience appropriate challenges, such as exercise, they release signals that encourage broader adaptations throughout the body. Muscles become more efficient. Blood vessels function more effectively. Antioxidant defenses strengthen. Metabolic flexibility improves. Even distant organs may respond. In other words, healthier mitochondria don't simply generate more energy. They send messages that help coordinate healthier biological function across multiple systems. This may help explain why lifestyle habits often produce benefits that extend far beyond a single organ. Exercise doesn't just affect muscles, it influences the brain. Nutrition doesn't only affect digestion, it influences immunity. Sleep doesn't simply reduce fatigue, It supports countless biological systems working together. And this interconnected view of health represents one of the biggest shifts in modern medicine. Rather than focusing exclusively on treating individual problems after they appear, researchers increasingly study how strengthening the body's natural systems may support long term health span. Health span differs from lifespan. Lifespan measures how long we live. Health span measures how long we remain physically active, mentally sharp, independent, and capable of enjoying daily life. Most people don't simply want more birthdays, they want more healthy years. More mornings with energy, more walks without pain, more conversations remembered clearly, more time with children and grandchildren. This is why mitochondrial research has captured so much attention, because energy sits at the center of nearly every biological function. Without adequate cellular energy, repair slows, recovery becomes more difficult, adaptation weakens. Researchers continue exploring how mitochondrial function relates to conditions associated with aging, including metabolic health, cardiovascular health, cognitive function, and muscle performance. Although scientists are still learning exactly how these relationships work, one message appears consistently throughout the evidence: daily habits matter. Not because they produce overnight transformations, but because biology responds to repetition. Every healthy meal becomes one signal, every walk becomes another, every night of quality sleep reinforces the next, every strength training session encourages adaptation, every stress management practice supports recovery. Individually, these choices may seem small. Collectively, they shape the environment in which our cells operate, and perhaps that's the most empowering lesson of all. Many people assume aging happens to us. Modern science suggests we also participate in it, not by controlling every outcome. Genetics, environmental exposures, and chance still play important roles, but through consistent lifestyle choices, we may influence many of the biological processes associated with healthy aging. That perspective replaces helplessness with possibility. It encourages us to focus on what can be improved rather than what cannot. If you wanted to summarize today's research into practical habits, the advice would sound remarkably simple, even if the biology behind it is incredibly sophisticated. Move your body regularly in ways that challenge both your muscles and your heart. Eat a diverse diet rich in minimally processed foods, colorful plants, healthy fats, and adequate protein. Prioritize consistent restorative sleep. Allow your body regular opportunities for recovery. Manage stress through sustainable daily practices rather than waiting until burnout occurs. Maintain meaningful relationships, because social connection is increasingly recognized as an important contributor to overall health. Stay curious, continue learning, keep your brain active, because the same lifestyle patterns that support physical health often support cognitive health as well. None of these habits promise perfection. None eliminate aging, and none replace personalized medical care when it's needed. But together, they align closely with what decades of scientific research continue to reveal about supporting the body's own systems. It's also worth remembering that change doesn't require an entirely new life beginning tomorrow morning. Many of the participants in long-term health studies didn't transform everything at once. They improved one habit, then another. Small improvements became routines. Routines became lifestyles. Lifestyles shaped long-term outcomes. This gradual approach is far more sustainable than chasing dramatic short-term changes. After all, mitochondria don't respond to motivation alone. They respond to consistent biological signals repeated over months and years. That means today's walk matters. Tonight's sleep matters. Tomorrow's breakfast matters. This week's exercise session matters, not because any one action is extraordinary, but because each one contributes to a larger pattern, and patterns are what biology remembers. As researchers continue uncovering new insights into mitochondrial science, one idea grows clearer every year. Healthy aging isn't simply about adding years to life. It's about adding life to years. It's about preserving strength when others expect weakness, maintaining curiosity when others expect decline, protecting independence for as long as possible, supporting the extraordinary network of trillions of cells working every second to keep us alive. The mitochondria inside those cells have been performing that task since the day we were born. Every heartbeat, every breath, every movement, every memory, quietly, continuously, without asking for recognition. Perhaps the greatest lesson from all of this research is that our bodies possess an incredible capacity for adaptation. Given the right environment, they continue repairing, responding, and adjusting throughout much of life. That doesn't mean aging disappears. It means healthy aging becomes something we can actively support through informed choices grounded in evidence rather than myths. The decisions we make today may seem small, but over years and decades, those choices can shape how we age, how we feel, and how long we remain healthy. That's why understanding the science matters.